because we are the one who set it up today. We usually don't miss.
It's on the screen, it just hits that and it makes the noise or something. Instead of that, it just...
Or when the button.
We will start our meeting in 1 minute. Thank you for being here. Okay, thank you for joining us again. We appreciate all your involvement with our city. Before we call this meeting to order, I'd like to ask for our community blessing, Pastor Bell from the Holy Fire Ministry Church to come forward for our opening blessing. Please stand.
Thank you. Let us bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we come before you humble and meek. Lord, we ask you to rain down your fresh anointing, your blessing on this meeting, Lord. Let the words that we speak be fruitful. Let the words that we speak bring you glory, Lord. And we ask for a spirit of unity in the bond of peace. And in the words of Paul, I do not cease to give thanks for you, remembering you in my prayers, that the God of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Father of glory, may give you the spirit of wisdom and revelation in the knowledge of him, having your eyes and hearts enlightened, that you may know what is the hope to which he has called you, and the riches of his glorious inheritance in the saints. So, Lord, we ask you to touch each and every person in here and continually bless us, Lord, as we go forward and do what you have called us to do in our great city, Los Banos. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank Thank you, Pastor Bell. I'd like to call this meeting to order, July 1st, 2026. Chief, if we could have the pledge, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, if we have roll call, Lucy, please.
Perez. Yamas. Chavez.
Here.
Lewis. Here. Amabil.
I am here. And our first item is informational presentation on our agenda. And these items are for information only. There won't be any action taken by the City Council. And we're going to start off with a certificate of recognition. Sandra, if you could come forward. So you probably noticed we changed the city council chambers a little bit. So I'm over here. And Sandra's been a great employee with the city, and her outstanding customer service, teamwork, and dedication. She goes above and beyond to assist customers with business license, planning, building permits, while also providing valuable translation services for our Spanish-speaking community, always willing to learn and help whatever and whoever is needed. Sandra has a positive attitude, she's reliable, and is committed to serving others that make her an invaluable member of our team. And it is with my honor and the City Council honor to recognize you for outstanding performance and dedicated service to the City of Los Banos for being named Employee of the Month for June 2026. Thank you so much for all your work. Thank you. Okay, next we have new employee introduction. With this, we'll go to our Human Resource Director, Carlos.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Tonight, we are recognizing Raymond Lopez, who promoted from firefighter to fire engineer. Unfortunately, he was not able to attend tonight's meeting. And so if it pleases the council, the department can introduce him next meeting or in a future meeting.
Sure, that sounds good.
Thank you.
Okay, next is San Joaquin Valley Air Pollution Control District e-mobility grant update. And this is a council chamber project. This is part of the project that helped pay for this change in their city council chambers. And with this, we'll go to our city manager, Than.
Mayor, thank you very much. I have a member from the Valley Air here, Aaron Tarango, as part of the e-mobility grant that's really make this all possible for us. So Aaron's actually joining us today virtually, and he is the first one to actually utilize our SB 707 platform. So if I can ask our production team to go ahead and show the Zooms on screen real quick so we can pop him on and see what that looks like. There we go. Aaron, can you hear us? Can you see us? So, brand new technology, as always. It is a work in progress. We'll get that in a little bit. Aaron, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Perfect. There you are.
Yep.
Yep. Just say hi real quick.
Hi, my name is Aaron Tarango with the San Joaquin Valley Air District, testing out the new system here.
Perfect. So with that, again, we just want to demonstrate the systems are working and want to thank Valley Air for making this possible. It's a $150,000 grant from the Air Board to make this project a possibility. And really, it's allow our community to be able to joint council meeting at our regular times, but from anywhere within the cities, or even if you're not in town, you can join us through the virtual meeting. Many of you have seen the Zoom link up front, so we have capability for computers or through the online platforms, and you can also call in. So there's give 2 or 3 news a way to join the city council meeting and stay informed of all the decision and policy. And that's conclude my report.
Great. Well, Eric, on behalf of the city council, I know Mayor Pro Tem probably want to say something, but we really appreciate the grant, giving us the grant for this project. I think it's not only brings this council chambers up to the 21st century, but it is better transparency and accountability for all our residents to be able to watch and be involved from home or office. So Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. And hello, Aaron. It's so good to see you. I'm very grateful to the Air District for providing this grant. $150,000 is a lot of money, and we certainly have used it appropriately to upgrade the chamber here in Los Banos to bring us into SB 707, which is a requirement by the state of California. Plus, it affords our community to be able to participate in city council meetings. If they can't make it, if they are still at work, they still have the opportunity to participate, see, and be able to enjoy the meeting. So thank you to the Air Board, and thank you to all of the staff that's been working on this, the contractors that have helped us get this together, and thank you to the council and to everyone on our staff who filled out the application to make sure that we got this grant. I'm very, very grateful. Thank you, Mayor.
And we do have a comment from Marcus Chavez.
Hi, Aaron. Councilman Chavez here. Just wanted to thank you again for the grant, and also I got a chance to try out some of these controls too. So thank you very much.
That's great. Yeah, I'm happy to be here. This is terrific. This is wonderful. This is why these grants are there. I'm glad you took advantage of it, and we're very happy you did.
Thank you.
Great. Okay, well, have a good night, and we appreciate you joining us. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you for your time tonight.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So that's a little tidbit of what we can do now in the future here in the council chambers. So now we'll go on to our next item, downtown parking management plan discussion. And we'll have our Economic Community Development Director, Souza Elms, discuss this plan. And we will give you opportunity, the community, to speak if you want to speak after she presents the parking plan. Okay, with that, we'll go to Stacy.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor and City Council. Hang on a second. Ooh, all right, this is exciting. All right, the downtown parking management plan. Now, this is just a discussion item that staff is bringing before the city. RFP that will be going out for a consultant to prepare a downtown parking management plan. So the main challenges that we hear from merchants, from property owners, and from the community at large are that prime spaces fill up fast in downtown. Employees are using customer spaces, and that's typically on-street parking. So we hear from other merchants that maybe the merchant next door, their employees are using the street parking when there is private parking available for them. There is a perception that there's not enough parking, that cars are staying too long. Some lots feel unsafe, and by lots, those are private parking lots or public parking lots, but parking lots in general feel unsafe, and generally we hear that is due to lighting. People avoid parking further away So if they're having to walk and they're not able to park directly in front of the business that they're wanting to visit, then they keep driving and they leave downtown. We also hear that school drop-off and pickup create quite a bit of congestion downtown. So some of the key takeaways, well, we know that parking challenges are not just about supply. It really is about the management, turnover, and accessibility, and that's what's critical. And we've looked at the overall parking, and I have in the next few slides, really the data to show how many spaces we have, and then an analysis that shows kind of what we see right now is being utilized. So there's lots of parking spaces, but what we see is that they're not being managed, turnover is slow, and that accessibility is critical. And we also understand that a balanced solution is needed. So some strategic initiative, and this was developed in the downtown strategic plan. In that plan, because we heard then at that point as we developed those strategies that a downtown parking plan was identified and needed to be done as one of the strategies. That was based on community and stakeholder input that we received from merchants and property owners of downtown. So our next step is to hire a consultant through a request for proposal RFP process. But where we are at today, we're wanting to create and formalize the scope of work that will be within that request for proposal. And so that's what the discussion is for tonight. So that study, the goals are to improve access to downtown, support local businesses, and optimize existing parking resources and enhance safety and usability of downtown. The topics that staff is recommending be included, and which isn't limited if there are more topics that we need to identify and study, that's what tonight's about. But we as a staff, from what we hear, we need to study customer versus employee parking, so we need to survey that. We need to identify turnover, so time limits. We need to be able to identify if the cleaners have high turnover and maybe it's the Pilates studio has a longer time, right? We also need to identify supply versus perception. We need to identify lighting and safety and school impacts on downtown parking. As a part of this study and creating and formulating this plan, there will be significant outreach. There will be outreach to businesses, property owners, and the community. So once we hire a consultant to prepare the study, that's where the outreach and coordination will occur with all of those three segments. So staff's recommendation is that we would receive council input on what key parking issues should be prioritized. Are there additional concerns to study that staff has not identified? And what outcomes are most important? And then the next steps after tonight would be to incorporate council input into the RFP and also whatever input we receive and feedback from the folks that are here tonight that are part of the downtown that we asked to attend the meeting. We would release a request for proposal and select a consultant. We would develop a draft parking management plan, and then we would bring that plan back to the city council for review and direction and hopefully adoption. So this is a study that, with the help of our police department and some drone footage, that we were able to identify just our parking utilization, and our city attorney in his engineering wisdom put together this table and identified on-street parallel parking. So that's all of the parking down on the street, and really the area identified, and you're gonna see in a map, it's really the core downtown business district, which is between K up and through I, 7th all the way to 5th. So the core downtown business district. It identified on-street diagonal parking, off-street public parking, and off-street private parking. In total, there's over 2,000 parking spaces. That's what we were able to identify. And drone footage was taken between at 10:45 and at 1 o'clock on Friday, this last Friday on June 19th. And we can see that 2% of parallel parking was utilized, 30% of diagonal parking, and this is at 10:45 when really the businesses are opening on Friday morning. 30% of the diagonal parking was being utilized. 18% of the off-street public parking was utilized, and 12% of private parking at that time was utilized. So in total, of the 2,000 parking spaces we have downtown, we had about 259 utilized. So then we took a snapshot at 1 p.m., and it actually goes down a little bit. And I think that's a reflection probably of employees leaving, maybe some classes that are available, like at the Pilates in dance studio, that maybe are offered in the morning during that 1 p.m. Segment may not be being utilized at that time, but we do see a little bit of a dip at 1 p.m., so less parking, less utilization of downtown parking. So this is a map, and to just orient what this map is showing is the green circles are all of the on-street parking. That's all of the diagonal parking and parallel parking. All of the purple is private parking, and all of the blue is public parking, and that makes up that over 2,000 parking spaces in that inventory. This is a snapshot at 10:45, what that looks like. So if you go back, you see those are all the parking spaces, and here you see where parking is being utilized. So if you recall back on that table, the on-street parking, and we can go back, on-street parking, which you have parallel and diagonal, those are the most utilized. And we can see that here. And then public parking is utilized most next, which is in blue, and then the purple is the private parking, and that's utilized the least. And then we see the snapshot at 1 p.m., which, as you saw on that table, is just a little bit less than the utilization or at 10:45. This is just a chart to break down what we're seeing, and that we're seeing at 10:45 on-street diagonal parking, which is primarily on 6th and I Street. All of the flanking streets, they do have some diagonal parking, but like J Street has some parallel parking, and parts of it right in front of City Hall. And there are other parallel parking, but most of it is diagonal parking. So that concludes my presentation. I do want to turn it over to Public Works and our police chief. Anything that I missed that you want to be able to chime in on? But I think we've collaborated together on the topics that would be included in this plan, and we're open to any other topics that you would like us to identify.
Do either one of you have anything to say right now before we open it to the public?
Just in terms of enforcement, Mr. Mayor, the police department does not have a single employee that only responds to downtown complaints related to parking. It can be handled by code enforcement, by a police officer, but generally, we don't receive a lot of complaints regarding downtown parking. Certainly, if we did, they would more be concentrated.
Chief, sorry, can you get a little closer? It's not really picking up the mic.
Sure.
Yeah, to the mic, thank you.
Can you hear me better?
Yeah.
All right. So certainly, if we are responding to complaints related to downtown parking, it would be primarily surrounding abandoned vehicles doesn't happen too often, perhaps fire lane violations and other violations like handicap parking violations. And occasionally, we will receive calls related to vehicles that are in the temporary parking for long periods of time, but it doesn't happen very often.
Anything, William, or? Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of follow up on one of the things Stacy said is there's a perception that there's limited parking, but as everybody has seen here tonight, there's a lot of parking downtown. It's not all of the parking is right in front of the store, but there is a lot of available parking. The parking lot at 7th and J Street, it's a brand new parking lot, was all redone a couple years ago, last year, a couple years ago. It doesn't get utilized very often, but I think the idea behind the RFP is for us to be able to look at what is our current situation for parking and what are we going to need in the future as the city grows, as more businesses come downtown, as our new offices open up across the street, and then we'll have a plan for the future. So then when parking does become a real problem, then we'll have a plan to go forward to address that.
Mayor, if I may add a couple items on here. So thank you for the presentations, Stacy. The reason why is, this was already included. I know, there's a lot of challenges that shown on the first slide that was identified. We receive all those comments. That's why we put on the agenda tonight to have an open discussions about what those challenges are. Absolutely, the convenience of parking in front of the store, to be able to come to downtown, park in front of the store, go into business, that is the number one priority that we've been kind of hearing from these businesses. But as kind of we highlight in the maps, there are parkings outside of those within a block or 2 block parking radius. Those are not as much utilized at the moment. If you look at the map that we just did, again, it is just a snapshot of Friday, June 19th at 10 and at 1. That's only about 50% of those are being utilized. So before we proceed forward to making any changes that's going to have permanent impacts onto downtowns, staffs are proposing to do this parking utilization study and come up with a plan and have those communicated to all the impacted business openly so that they understand that whether this is going to be 15-minute parking, loading zone, 2-hour parking, which area specifically, because wherever you put some of those timed limited or metering parking, a lot of time that then impacted the street next, the adjacent streets or the store next door. And we don't want to have those impacts without having a formal study and then do a public information session so people really understands what that's going to do. Second, from a level of service standpoint, when we talk about meterings and stuff like that, is one's the capital investment that's going to go into those. It costs money to go paint them, to put force those things to where, in a couple months, it's no longer become relevant, right? That's what we want to get your inputs on. Again, for the RFP process, that is already budgeted in fiscal year 27. And I know that the study is going to take some time, but in the meantime, we are putting in the budget for quite a few retrofits in downtown as well. One of which is to help with circulations. As you're all aware, we are going to be repave a lot of the downtown alleyway to help with those circulations and loading zones in the alleyway. We also are going to be retrofittings or slurrings the parking lots on 6th Streets and 152. That corner used to be Dutra towing. That's also going to get slurry, restriping so that it can be used and then create an additional capacity within this fiscal year while we are waiting for the study.
Thank you. Before I open it up to the public, I know exactly what a lot of you are thinking because I thought the same thing. Why can't we just change it? Why don't we just do it? Well, things have changed a lot since in the last 20 years. First of all, Chief put together a traffic division out of the police department because that was cut somewhere around COVID, I think, and now that's back, so now we can enforce things. And you can't issue a ticket unless you do a study. So, I mean, to be able to, in court or whatever it may be, you have to be able to show that you did a study, this is needed, this is what kind of traffic controls you need to put in place, then tickets can be issued or adjustments can be made. So a lot of those things have changed over the last 20 years compared to before that, when the city could just go paint something green or put up a sign and it was enforced. Because now everything is lawsuits and all this other stuff. So with that, I just wanted to throw that out there before I open up to the public. We do have a couple of letters too that we'll read at the end, but at this time, anyone would like to speak on this item, please come forward. You're welcome to tell us what you think about the traffic. We do know that there's areas that are affected more than others, but you please state your name for the record, and you have 3 minutes.
Anna McCauley. I made quite
Thank
a few
you.
notes here, so I'm going to try to run through this quick. I've always recommended that 6th Street be one-way, coming into the plaza, coming from Pacheco, and then having diagonal parking on both sides of the street so a person could go to one side or the other to do their parking. But I think making it one-way will enhance that area. We want to not only do parking spaces and so on, but I think we also want to beautify what we're doing. And I think some, like the coffee shop, if they had some space outside where they could do, sit down and drink their coffee or their snack, or there's some other eateries, we can expand that area a little bit, because 6th Street is really very narrow. But I think if we can enhance some of the businesses to expand their ambiance. Also, I was thinking that if between 6th and 7th, going from 6th to 7th Street on I, J, and K Street, make all of those diagonal. I don't remember now which ones aren't. Make all of those diagonal parking, and perhaps one way on those streets too, just for the one block. From 7th Street and 5th Street, people will be able to go both ways, except if we did one, I, J, and K, if we did that one way, of course, those streets would be identified, so they'd have to, people on 7th Street would have to pick another street if they're going to go east. Do the people with the employees parking on the street, do they know where they're supposed to park? I'm curious about that. Do they do private parking, or where do they go? Also, I think if we were going to do this snapshot of parking, I think rather than a Friday when people are probably going to take off half a day or whatever, or leave work early, make it on, do this study, say, on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, maybe even Thursday. But I think, who knows, that may or may not change the issue. I think we need more diagonal parking as opposed to parallel, because you can get more cars in there. We've got 2,000 spaces, which surprises me, but then, like you say, a lot of people don't want to walk more than 2 blocks. Maybe physical fitness might fit in, except for people that have walking issues. I think that, and then if you have some places like 30 minutes for the cleaners, or 15 minutes, 2 hours for certain other parking, I don't think anybody should have more than 2 hours of parking, frankly. You don't have any turnover. If there's and of course, like for people that do the exercise studios, maybe they do need a little more time. But I think if we can identify those areas, that's going to make it a lot easier for people to see some options. Thank you.
Great.
Oh, did I say my name?
Yes, you did.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you very much. And we're writing down all these comments too.
Out there, right? And you guys are doing this on a Friday or whatever situation where a lot of people work 4 days a week, or especially if they work over the hill and they're here, right? The way where I see a lot of the parking is on the weekends, right? Especially when you guys have events, like whatever events are locally, there is no parking anywhere. People have to walk blocks and blocks to be able to get to downtown if they need to see the parades or whatever the situation is. The one thing that I see is there are a lot of businesses that are not open downtown because the buildings are old and not retrofitted. A lot of people want to start businesses here, but the thing is from what I heard, you guys are the obstacle to a lot of these businesses, okay? I've heard stories and say that's why people go to Gustine or somewhere else to open up their businesses. And the other thing is the owners of these buildings, I'm assuming they're old families and old money, they don't want to retrofit their buildings. So that's why there's so many buildings downtown that are not rented, right? Because the owners are holding the people who want to put the businesses accountable for retrofitting their buildings, which doesn't make any sense, okay? So just imagine if these businesses were retrofitted and everything had a business in it. We would really have a jam, right? Because everyone is out there shopping downtown. I'm gonna tell you right now, I hardly go downtown because it's dead. It's old, and there are a few things down there, but not too much. But this is what I've seen in Morgan Hill. Morgan Hill, when they did their whole downtown, beautiful. Hopefully, Los Banos can get to that point at one point, right? What they did is they built a multi-level parking spot for the overflow, okay? It might be a lot of money. It might not be, right? But the thing is that this is what I trip out on cities. They don't plan ahead of time. We got 50,000 people here. From what I heard, one of the developers has a contract for another 90,000 houses, right? So, or whatever the situation. But what if the city grows to that big? We're always going to be behind, right? And so, this is what I'm saying is that check it out. If there's over 2,000 spaces, they're not being utilized. Because I'll tell you right now, everybody parks in front of the spaces that have the businesses, and then the rest of the parkings are not being used because there's nothing around, right? So the ones that are taking up most of the parking are the businesses that are open, plus the employees and so on. And there is no direction for employees to say this is employee parking for downtown. There is none. So it's kind of hard to put this on the citizens and the employees that are working downtown when there is no direction or no signs or anything that tells them where they need to be. You know what I mean? So that's all I have to say about the parking.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else, please come forward. Please state your name for the recorded record.
Oh, no, I'm being recorded. Kathy Ballard, citizen of Los Banos. I was wondering,
Kathy, pull down your mic just a little bit.
because I'm sure, is this a joke?
Perfect. Thank you.
When the parking that's on the separate one that we just repaved, is there any notice on anywhere on 6th Street that says additional parking? A lot of businesses I've seen have signs, because there's nothing parking in front, but they have a huge parking lot in back. So they go, additional parking is in the back. To flag where people can park, maybe they think it belongs to the apartment complex there, or that building, and they're not allowed to, unless you drive down that one street and see city parking. The other thing is, we have the property, or you will have the property, where the police annex is, and could that be utilized for a parking area that's close to downtown? And do we have to RFP to get somebody else to do a survey when all of our employees have already done a survey and you can zero it in? Or does it have to be an outside organization, not people that are already employed with us, that obviously did all the work already and just have to fine tune it? That's it. Thanks.
Thank you for your comments. Just to let you know, we did budget into this budget signage to point people to public parking. Anyone else, please come forward. You're welcome to speak. Everything's been written down that you might say, and we're going to consider everything. I think it's very important to hear from the public. Please state your name for the recorded records.
I'm Kathleen.
I'm Norma. I'm Joanne.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, council members, my name is Kathleen, and I'm a downtown small business owner of 35 years. And I'm here to share a concern about downtown parking. I believe we have plenty of parking spaces downtown. My concern is many businesses, owners, and employees are using prime customer parking, making it harder for shoppers, including elderly or disabled folks, to easily access businesses. One of downtown's greatest strengths is the convenience of parking close to a business you are visiting. And I'd hate to lose that advantage by forcing customers to walk long distance like they would in a large shopping center. I hope we can come to a solution that ensures parking remains accessible for our customers and supports all businesses. Thank you for taking the time to hear me out. I appreciate it.
Thank you for your comments. We appreciate it. Please state your name, Norma, for the record.
My name's Norma Blackwood, and I came up to the council meeting when we had the last mayor, And it was because my brother who passed away, he was a Vietnam vet. He lost both legs at 20 years of age. And when I saw that he had to walk a block to come get a haircut, I don't think that's right. And we do see a lot of people that hardly can walk. There's times I help them walk across the street, walk them to their car. And we do need that extra parking. I think I park behind Oddfellows, and there's always plenty of parking there. So I'm just asking if the people that park where public parking should be can park somewhere else. All I gotta say.
Thank you very much. Welcome.
Hi, I'm Joanne Hofer. I have the bookstore. I've been downtown 47 years. I agree with what they have to say, but also there's another issue that the police department just sort of ignores. The Los Banos turn and the larger pickup trucks now parking half on the sidewalk. And it's becoming a big issue. So, but I agree with what they have to say. It's basically some of the newer businesses, they just tell you to off, and then it's a public parking and they can park there all day if they want, and which is what they do.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your comments. We appreciate it. Anyone else, please come forward.
Mayor, City Council, my name is Frank Vieira, and my concerns are in front of the post office. During school hours, you cannot find a place to park. And then you look in that lot that you folks had talked about on between Pacheco and 6th Street, and you look and there's 3 cars parked in there, and yet all the way down 6th Street, there is absolutely no parking. And my other pet peeve is people don't park up to the curb. If you pay close attention to a lot of cars, they're 3 to 4 feet away from the curb, and they do stick out, and sometimes you got to go across the double line to get around them. The big trucks, we understand. They're big. They're just as able to park as anybody else, and I can understand going around them. But when I see a car that's very, very small, and there's 4 feet from the curb, doesn't make sense to me. That's my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Anyone else, please come forward. I want to speak about parking downtown. Okay, I do not see anyone coming forward. We do appreciate your comments. We are writing them down. This is a process. One of the questions was, why can't city staff do this survey? You really need a third party, a party that's not involved with the city or anybody, to do a non-biased study. It really works the best for everybody's opinion. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to the city council with other, is there any questions I missed?
You have 2 comments for Lucy.
Oh, yeah, Lucy, you have 2 letters. Please read those into, I got you on there. Read those into the record. Thank you.
Dear Mayor Amabil and City Council members, first I would like to express how wonderful it has been to see our downtown thriving. It is encouraging to see so many people visiting our local businesses, dining in our restaurants, attending events, and spending time in our community. A vibrant downtown is something we all value and want to continue fostering. As our downtown continues to grow and attract more visitors, ensuring that convenient parking remains available for customers becomes increasingly important. Many downtown businesses have adopted the practice of having owners and employees parked behind their buildings or in nearby off-street areas when possible, helping preserve street parking for customers who are shopping, dining, and supporting our local businesses. We are fortunate to have parking available behind our building, which is safe, easily accessible, and available for merchants and employees who may wish to utilize it. The easiest access to this parking area is from J Street directly behind our block of downtown businesses. Encouraging the use of available off-street parking options your service to our community and your continued support of our downtown businesses. I appreciate your consideration as we work together to keep our downtown thriving for residents, visitors, and business owners alike. Sincerely, Leah Costa, Flor de Luz, downtown Los Banos. Dear Mayor, Vice Mayor, and members of the Los Banos City Council, I am the owner and landlord of what is commonly referred to as the Bank Building in downtown Los Banos, located at 836 through 848 I Street. Unfortunately, I am unable to attend the City Council meeting scheduled for July 1st, 2026, but I am grateful for the chance to express my opinion regarding the proposed parking management plan that affects the building's frontage. After reviewing the parking needs of tenants, visitors, city departments, and the public, I respectfully request that the City Council consider the following parking configuration for the frontage serving the 836 through 848 I Street offices. Number 1, keep 2 spaces designated for 15-minute parking in the front of the San Luis Delta Mendota Water Authority's offices to accommodate customers conducting brief business transactions. 2, convert 2 15-minute spaces to 2-hour spaces to provide a better mix for office and commercial transactions. 3, keep the 2 existing ADA handicap parking spaces. 4, keep all existing parking regulations and designations unchanged along the I Street side of the property. Thank you for your consideration of these comments. I respectfully request that this letter be included in the record for the July 1st, 2026 City Council meeting and considered during discussions regarding parking management for the 836 through 848 I Street area. Should additional information be needed, I would be pleased to discuss the matter with city staff. Sincerely, Chase Calgin, property owner, the Bank Building, Miller and Lux Building. And that's all I have.
Is there anyone on Zoom that wants to speak?
I don't see any hands up.
Okay. There's no way for me to tell here, is there? No?
I'm looking, I don't see.
Okay, good.
Do
Thank you. Thank you, Lucy. So now I'll turn it over to the City Council. Any questions, comments, direction? Refugio?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for the members of the public, specifically the business owners who came by to share your thoughts and your ideas. And these reflect the ideas and thoughts that I've spoken to directly with some of them. I'm just looking forward to a plan so that we can address this because it is a problem, but it's a problem of management. We have the assets and it's just a matter of giving staff the tools, i.e. marking, signage, et cetera, so that we can adequately address this management problem. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you, Mayor. Well, listening to our merchants downtown and letters from business owners, our city is growing. And as it grows, there'll be more of an issue regarding parking downtown. The concern that I have is, yeah, we have a Pilates studio in a particular site now, but it may not always be there. It may be something else in the future. So how do we manage how long any particular person can park in a downtown area? Changing directions of streets, that, sounds like a pretty good idea. Making 6th Street one way for coming in. I don't know that other streets should be one way. And that certainly would resolve parking on both sides of the street because you won't have people headed north or south on 6th Street or I Street And what I see often is people pulling out in the middle of the street and backing into these diagonal parking spaces, which can present a problem. So I think the study is necessary to try to come up with some options and plans for our downtown, not just for now, but for the future. I'm hoping, I came from Morgan Hill as well, and as I drive through that city, I see a remarkable difference in what it was 36 years ago when I moved here. It's totally different. And I trust that we're going to make some positive changes as we grow, because it's important that, for me, that our residents identify that we do have a downtown, and as the parking problem gets solved, perhaps we can get more businesses that are designed for people who want to come and participate in downtown, buy from the merchants, have really nice restaurants downtown. To me, that's what the future of downtowns are, is places to eat, socialize, and just kind of hang out. That's what Morgan Hill is. That's what a lot of small cities are now. Our main shopping is on the highway, but getting smaller businesses, boutique-type businesses, having restaurants, having that walkability in our downtown is really important. So the resolving of our parking issues is the beginning of this, but we do have to consider and plan for the future, and also make sure that our employees, the employees of the businesses, are parking someplace other than where the public parking should be. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Marcus?
Yeah, so, a lot of good ideas. The one-way street, I think that was interesting. That'd be something worthwhile looking into. I think the Morgan Hill comments are also, those are good comments to look into. Morgan Hill is nice. I think there's something to be looked at there. I think the third party is a good thing that needs to happen so we can see from a different perspective, but I think it's also important that the business owners also speak to their employees and just kind of educate them. I don't think they're doing it on purpose. I mean, they're just going to work, they're parking, but if it's taking away valuable parking in front of those businesses, that hurts business. And at the end of the day, without customers and business, or the business doesn't survive. And if the business can't survive, then how can we have jobs for the people that are parking there? So I think it's part of an educational deal, and everybody's got a common goal here: make the business thrive, make downtown thrive. And I think it's going to take. It's not one thing that's going to solve everything, but I think there's a lot of different things that are going to have to come together to solve the issue. That's it, Your Honor. Mayor.
Well, I think definitely the first step is to get a message to business owners about their employees parking in front of their businesses. That's an easy one, shouldn't cost any money. I have, in my mind, thought about a one-way street. I think it's something to discuss in the future. If you did a one-way street on 6th Street, you could then widen sidewalks, have a place for people to dine outside and things like that. So those are, and that might be in the future, but that is a thought. I'm glad we're moving forward with this. I know it's very interesting because you'll see it impacted on certain blocks more than other blocks. Some blocks, there's a lot of openings, and you could count the cars and how many are parked there, how many open spaces. But then one block is really impacted, and unfortunately, that's the case. So I'm glad we're going forward with this. We're going to study it by a third party and get exactly what's going on. But in the meantime, we're going to do some signage. We already put in the budget. We're doing the alleyways, so it's an easier way to drive. We're going to identify all the public parking and make sure that is done. And I know how people are, and I'm not too different. You want to park as close to that front door as you can get, and maybe, but showing where there's more parking available, especially if you're maybe new to town or don't go downtown a lot, will open up a lot too, I think. And also showing employees that work at these businesses where this public parking is too. So I'm glad, I appreciate everybody that spoke this evening, all their comments, both by letter and in person. We will move this forward. Do you need any direction from the city council? Just a thumbs
Mayor-
up or down?
Yeah, Mayor, I think we got the direction. I just want a clarification on a couple things. So on the study itself, even though on the presentation slide, we were only shown those confined area, those was just to demonstrate what parking utilization plan would look like and the study would look like. When we do this actual study, it's actually going to encompass the entire downtown core, kind of like what we did for our master plan. So it will include parking at around the post office, the school district and stuff, so that we understand, during time of school pickup, drop off, what impacts that is going to have on our business and what is the best way to account for that. And that will include, as part of the parking management plan also, is the future outlooks, whether it's going to be the time management or whether it's new additional parking, parking structures, all of those will be included in there. Thank you, Mayor.
Great. So with that, we thank you again, and we will move on to our next item. Item 8 is election law training. So with that, we'll turn to our city attorney, Mary Lerner.
Thank you, Mayor. With us tonight on Zoom. I don't know, I'm getting that feedback, but with us tonight on Zoom is Attorney Jim Priest with BBK. He is very knowledgeable about elections and the related law, including the nuances. I've worked with Jim for many, many years when it comes to these election nuances, election law in general, and so I see him on screen. Hopefully he can hear us and we'll be able to hear him, and I'll go ahead and turn it over to you, Jim.
Thank you, Ms. Leonard. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, honorable staff, members of the public, Jim Priest, Best in Krieger. Ms. Leonard just asked me to attend this evening and provide a general overview of various election laws, particularly with regard to campaigning for or against candidates and ballot measures, given that we are in the season now. I want to remind city employees and city officials, elected and appointed, that you don't surrender your rights as a private resident of the city of Los Banos. The key takeaway I'd like everybody to walk away with is being mindful of when one is wearing their private citizen hat and when one is wearing their public servant hat, because when you're wearing your public servant hat, there are some legal restrictions in what you can do related to campaigning. Whereas when you're wearing your private citizen hat, for the most part, you're free to advocate for or against as any other private citizen would. The general rule that is provided in state law is that the city officials and city employees cannot use public resources for campaign-related purposes. And that's in a number of state statutes and court decisions that have been distilled over the years. So public officials and public employees are prohibited from engaging in campaign activities or services or utilizing agency funds, supplies, property, equipment, or even agency compensated time or agency paid facilities to engage in partisan campaigning, again, either for or against candidates or for ballot measures. Generally, you cannot campaign during work hours. Now, if you are an employee on a set schedule, that's fairly easy to assess. You clock in, you clock out, and you know when you're on the clock and when you're off. If you're a salaried employee, they're salaried employees supporting the city council this evening, attending this meeting. And so in those cases, you're on the clock at that point. So again, salary people have to be a bit more mindful of when they're on the clock and therefore on the public resource payroll as opposed to as acting as private citizens. For elected officials like yourself, my advice is if you are at City Hall doing city business, if you are in a meeting like tonight, if you are at a city event doing city business, if you are being sent by the city to do business somewhere, then you're wearing your public servant hat at that point. So you should avoid advocating for or against candidates or measures at that point. But again, when you're no longer doing that work, when you are off the clock, then you are free to advocate more freely there. resources are defined pretty broadly. I kind of alluded to it earlier. Anytime, any resources, any equipment, any materials that the city owns cannot be used for advocacy. Types of activities that should be avoided when you are on the public resource would be distributing materials, attending campaign events, making telephone calls like phone banking, those type of things. Those type of items should be avoided when, again, on the public time or the public dime. Again, on your private time, that's a different story. Again, that I'm just looking through my city has an email address for you or a social media account. That should not be used for advocacy either. Private social media, private email that is not being paid for by the city or by a public agency, that's a different story again. You can use those to advocate for or against a measure or a candidate. An issue that Ms. Lerner asked me to address, and I'll do that now, is making statements at meetings such as this in an advocacy way, either campaigning from the dais or campaigning from the podium. The rule works both ways. And I won't get into too many of the weeds here, but where we are right now in these chambers is a business meeting. And that's an important thing to understand. In First Amendment court decisions, there's various classifications of places where you can and where you have the right to advocate, where you have the right for free political expression, and where you do not, and where they're sort of a hybrid. In what's called a traditional public forum, you have full rights to advocate just like any citizen. Those would be like parks, sidewalks, other areas like that where you could go put up a sign and hold it and advocate. You can freely speak to people. You can get your opinion across in those places. That's what we call a traditional public forum. Then there's also what we call non-public forums. That would be your house. That would be, a church, a private location where the owner can say, no, we're not doing political stuff here at all. Then there's the middle ground, and that's where a meeting like this exists. It's what we call a limited public forum. A limited public forum exists to allow political expression, but within limited boundaries. Now, the boundaries here, as I had indicated, is that this is a business meeting for the city, which means people are free to come to the podium, and if an ordinance is under consideration, you can hear for, you can hear against. Hey, I have a different idea. Would you consider this? We like it, we don't like it. You have full ability to express your viewpoint within the boundaries of the business being transacted at the city. Personal political campaigns, either of individuals who are incumbents, not incumbents, supporters of those individuals one way or the other, that is not city business. I know there's people who have debated that with me in the past, but it is not city business. The city as a public agency is neutral as to who gets elected to the city council. The city will continue to serve with distinction whoever is elected to the city council, and will follow the policy as directed by the city council. But individual candidates, who wins, who loses, the city does not have a position on that legally. We remain neutral as an agency. And so the big point I want to give here is that this is not a campaign venue. This is a business meeting. And so there should not be campaigning from the dais. And again, there should not be campaigning from the podium. If somebody were to come to the podium and start saying, vote for Jones, don't vote for Smith, vote for Measure A, don't vote for Measure A, you can tell that person to please cease from campaigning from the podium. They would be out of order. They are exceeding the scope of this business meeting, of this limited public forum. And so I just wanted to address that specific issue. Ms. Lerner asked me to address that. Now, if the council wants to urge voters to go get informed, if the city wants to issue neutral information, neutral mailer that says Measure A is on the ballot, here's what Measure A would do, the city's allowed to do that. The city council is allowed to urge voters to go vote. But where it crosses a line at a meeting like this is when you actually start urging people to vote in a particular way. Or if a city mailer is sent out urging voters to vote in a certain way, that crosses the line into publicly funded advocacy. There's some other rules that come up that I'll just touch on really briefly. Uniformed agency personnel, police, fire, code enforcement, public works. There are provisions in state law that prohibit them from engaging in campaign or political activities while in uniform. Now, where I see this most frequently, and again, I'm just providing this for background, I'm not saying that I have any information that any of this is going on. I'm just providing this as background here, is appearing in mailers and stuff. I get asked fairly frequently by public agencies, hey, the police chief wants to be in this campaign mailer and wants to wear his uniform, and that has to be a hard no under state law. Again, if a police officer wants to, out of uniform, on his or her own time and dime, want to advocate for or against a candidate or for or against a measure, they may do so. That's, at that point, they are wearing their private citizen hat, and they're not dressed like a public servant. They are dressed like a private citizen. They're not wearing their uniform. So in that case, we have to be mindful of, again, when we're on the clock, and also with uniform personnel, what they're wearing and what they're engaging in, with campaign activities and like. There are also general prohibitions on making promises for political favors, making promises in order to gather votes, in order to gather contributions, get support. That's also prohibited by a number of state laws. Soliciting contributions, generally, people should not be soliciting contributions at City Hall. Again, generally that's during work hours. There are a few narrow exceptions that the courts have carved out where some city employees might be able to do some solicitation of campaign funds and things like that during their off time while they're at City Hall. But if anything like that happens, and I would specifically ask Ms. Lerner this, please let me know and we can talk that through. But I am making you aware of the fact that generally soliciting contributions at City Hall is not permitted by state law. One other thing I wanted to mention. So again, we have the general public servant, private citizen hat distinction here. And again, I would urge you to be mindful of that should any of these situations come up. And this again applies to the elected and appointed officers of the city as well as the employees of the city. In your situation as the city council, and this might even apply to some people like your planning commission or any other body that might hear actual cases and make binding decisions based on the facts of a particular case. There is a distinction in the law. And again, this is something I would tell you to apply even wearing your private citizen hat. Just be mindful of this. If you are speaking about general political policy, I favor Measure A. I don't favor Measure A. I think this candidate's great. I don't think this candidate's great. I think we should never have a cannabis ordinance in town. I think we should, enact a tax or we should enact some sort of a regulatory ordinance. These broader legislative questions, you're free to talk about those as a private citizen. You can, urge people to vote, urge people to support one position or the other. That's your political prerogative. However, if you are dealing, and we call those legislative matters. However, if you are dealing with a specific case, a specific hearing that will be going before the city council, either, as a first step or perhaps on an appeal from the planning commission or a lower body at the city. That's different than just talking about general legislative policy. Now what you're doing is you're talking about making findings and making a decision for a specific project, a specific applicant. And in those cases, that applicant has the right to an unbiased decision maker. So if you, even as a private citizen, are talking with folks and saying, oh, I'll never approve that project, or that project's all wrong for the city, or, oh, I'll absolutely approve it, easy, no problem. That could put you in a situation where you may have to recuse yourself from participating in that decision ultimately. So in addition to being mindful of your private citizen public servant hat, you also have to be a bit mindful about what you're speaking about. Again, whether it's a specific, applicant-specific, property-specific, fact-specific application that you might be hearing, or again, whether you're talking about general legislative political matters there. So that's the general summary I was going to offer this evening. Ms. Lerner, was there anything else that you would specifically like me to address this evening, or?
Well, I think also you talked about being in uniform. Can you address the unions going out and maybe advocating for like a public safety measure or? Right. Yeah, that would be helpful.
Right. Oh, very good. Very good. Yes. A uniform is a uniform that is provided by the city or at the city's cost, or it's required by the job to wear it. That is a uniform. If public safety employees, again, on their own time and dime, want to go knock on doors, make appearances at events, sit at a desk, otherwise do things to advocate for or against a measure or a candidate, if they want to wear union-issued khaki pants, then a union-issued golf shirt and a hat, there's no public resources there. And that is not in uniform. Those are privately paid clothes that are not required as part of the job nor paid for by the city. So if they want to go and engage in political activities on their own time, on their own dime, and on a union-paid clothing, that's fine. They can do that.
What about for, taking it a step further, what about for staff and council members if they're wearing a shirt that identifies them as being with the city and it has been paid for and issued by the city?
Then I would say that that functions as your uniform. You are utilizing public resources as part of campaign activity. I would urge officials not to wear a city-paid shirt or city-paid clothing in that respect. Now, is that appearing in uniform? I think it is. It also is the use of public resources.
Jimmy, I have a question. It's Mayor Mike here. So we go to a lot of dinners, city-county dinners, and many times there's state and candidates, federal candidates there that are looking for endorsements and things like that. I don't think we've actually gone out and endorsed them at one of these dinners, but where's the line we can draw on that? Because sometimes they ask, I know they've asked me for my endorsement at these dinners and things like that. And so how do you handle that?
I might try to have that conversation outside of any event where the city is paying to send you to it. Maybe you have a private phone call offline after the conference or after the meeting. If it's just a brief, quick conversation at a conference or something, it's de minimis. But I think if it's going to end up being anything that's pretty long and involved in a pretty extensive conversation, I would try to find a different venue than the conference or the meeting that the city paid public funds to send you to.
Okay. Questions by the council? Thank you, Mayor. Deborah?
Thank you, Mayor. My question's maybe just a little bit unusual. if you have a city employee who is not in city uniform or wearing anything regarding city, or maybe a private citizen who is campaigning, if they show up at a city-sanctioned event, how is that looked at regarding state law?
It'll depend on the event. If it's at a park, if it is at an event open to the public, you're not required to, provide them a podium or a microphone or anything like that. But if they're just walking around talking to people, I don't know that that's something that can really be regulated. I have had that situation where we have asked people at a city-sanctioned event to not pass out flyers, to not pass out postcards. We've asked them not to do that. We've never taken anything like that legal. We've just asked the person not to do it. But yeah, that can be an issue. And again, but if it's at a park, if it's on, if it's in a public place, then it gets really tricky to regulate those folks because, again, you're in a traditional public forum at that point. You're out there in an area that is reserved for political activity. Again, controlling that in city facilities, such as the council chambers, city hall, community centers, those kind of places, quite a bit easier to manage and regulate as opposed to just out open air events.
Okay, thank you very much.
We kind of take those situations as we find them.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Anyone else? No? So is there anyone from the public that would like to speak on this item? Okay, please come forward. You have 3 minutes. Please state your name for the record.
Hello, my name is Carlos Flores, District 1. What about contributions to a city councilman or a candidate? How is that viewed?
Okay, so you have any other well, once you sit down, he'll answer the questions.
All right.
Thank you very much, Carlos. Anyone else that would like to speak before on this subject? Could you, if you want to answer that question?
Yeah, certainly. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ms. Lerner, do you have a campaign finance limitation ordinance in place right now? Or do you rely on the state limit?
We rely on the state limit.
Okay, what is it now? 5,700, somewhere around there, per source per election. There are substantive limits in state law on how much someone may contribute to a city council candidate. And again, it's that number, I believe was increased to 5,700. I would have to double check that, but it's in that neighborhood there. Beyond that, there's really no regulations on giving campaign donations to a candidate. As I'd indicated earlier, campaign donations should not be made at City Hall or at city facilities. But if a citizen wants to contribute money to a candidate running for office, they're free to do so, subject to that number limitation. I hope that answered the question.
So as long as it's not a city event, you can do it. Anyone else? Okay, I think.
I just had
excuse me.
Yeah.
Is there anyone on Zoom? Is there anyone on Zoom that? Okay, now go ahead.
Okay. So, Jim, just one follow-up question regarding a council member wearing two hats, one as a private citizen, one as a council member. The community may recognize them even if they're out there in their private role, they will recognize them as the mayor or a council member. So are there any time, place, and manner restrictions with respect to, let's use the ballot measure as an example, of them being out there like the night before the election, pounding on a door saying, vote yes or vote no, but I'm doing it as a private citizen? Do you understand where I'm going with this question?
I believe I do, council member.
City attorney.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'm sorry. There's no specific time, place, and manner restriction beyond what I've outlined about wearing your private citizen hat, public servant hat. One thing I would observe is if you are out there as a private citizen advocating, taking an advocacy position, I would typically advise that you give a little disclaimer. You know, this is my opinion. The city does not officially have an opinion on the candidate, on the measure. It's my opinion. Beyond that, no, there's really no limit as long as you are not expending public resources. Now, being politically known or known in the community as the mayor or as a council member, that has political value, it has social value, but there's no monetary value to it. And the law really focuses on the expenditure of public resources that you can fix a monetary value to. Again, agency compensated time, agency payment to send you to an event, that can be quantified. Using city equipment, using city electronics, using city supplies, that can be quantified. But a title, just being known in the community as that official, that does not prevent you, that does not keep your public servant hat on all the time. You know, you can be a private citizen and just have that title and be known that way. And yeah, you could, up to the night before the election, you could knock on doors and speak with people, just like any private citizen could.
Okay, I think that should do it. Jimmy, thank you very much. We do appreciate your involvement, keeping us straight. So we're going to, since this is an election year, we'll be doing this same introduction and education process before each election every 2 years, basically. So.
And I'm happy to coordinate with Ms. Lerner, and should any questions come up in the future, please feel free to reach out. I'm happy to help.
Good. We appreciate you very much. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Have a good evening. Take care, everyone.
Thank you. Okay, we appreciate everybody staying with us with that, and we will move on now to our public forum. This time is reserved for the members of the public who wish to address the City Council on any item that is not on our agenda this evening, because you'll have an opportunity to speak when we reach that agenda item. Please state your name for the public record, and we appreciate you stepping forward.
Hello, my name is Amy Benias, and I'm a person with lived experience. I speak openly about my past because it may help someone else find recovery. People often tell me I don't really look like someone who once used substances. And while recovery can restore health and stability, many people who use substances don't match the junkie on the street stereotype. Users can be our neighbors, our children, or our classmates. Last week, I attended the Suicide, Opioid, and Substances Coalition meeting hosted by Merced County Department of Public Health. Public Health shared data from Memorial Hospital Los Banos showing that between 2023 and the first quarter of 2026, teen girls aged 14 to 17 had the highest rate of drug-related ED visits of any age group. While the report didn't specify substances, but given the prevalence of fentanyl locally, I am now more than ever concerned with safeguarding our community members with naloxone. I respectfully urge the City Council and department heads to approve naloxone display cases in all department lobbies, including City Hall. Merced County Behavioral Health and Recovery Services and the Sidewalk Project 209 already distribute naloxone free of charge. Merced County provides ready-made tabletops and full display cases. Harm reduction is often misunderstood as encouraging drug use, but this is not the case. Naloxone is a life-saving, non-addictive tool. It's like a fire extinguisher. It doesn't cause fires or promote arson, it prevents death. Los Banos can no longer, after that horrible weekend with 5 overdoses and 3 fatalities, Los Banos can no longer reject proven life-saving interventions. Please support naloxone displays in our public spaces to help protect lives in our community. I will be emailing some of you tomorrow to hopefully get some of these display cases set up. I appreciate your time and look forward to connecting. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that. Anyone else would like to speak in the public forum? You're welcome to. State your name for the record, please.
Maria Phillips from the American Hero Initiative and District 2. I just want to formally thank all of our sponsors, vendors, Los Banos Enterprise, and all the Central Valley radio stations and community that have supported the event we are hosting. And we have successfully planned a full day of Veteran Honors and Community Fun, July 5th, 10 to 3 p.m. at the Ag Complex of Mercy Springs. As a reminder, veterans and active duty members are completely free, and it's only $10 per person after that. And that $10 is an all-access pass to military opening ceremony, veteran honor ceremonies, 250 years of the United States history on display. Along with, for the first 100 veterans, get a goodie bag. Cub Country will be rocking out 11 to 1, and 25 inflatables for all ages, even you adults, including bouncers, a joust arena, games, bungee run, sports games, mini golf, Jacob's Ladder, extensive community marketplace and outreach booths, and we have filled 45 vendor spaces. Home Depot Kids Build, face painter all day, bubble show, petting zoo, and an American flag made from the children of this community's handprints, which we hope to dedicate to all of you. We also have the dog park decorated with dogs throughout history, so please stop by there and see all these absolutely adorable dogs throughout our history. And to top it all off, we're giving you lunch, hot dogs, chips, and a nice cold bottle of water. I would like to also remind the community that this is a fundraising event, and all proceeds will go to the American Hero Initiative, which helps disabled veterans financially fix their homes and vehicles. More information is on our Facebook, Instagram, and our website, www.theamericanheroinitiative.org, and we hope to see you all there.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Please come forward.
Well, I think this is the longest I've stayed for public comment. Anyways, I just want to talk about oh, sorry about that. My name is Carlos Flores, District 1. I'm here to talk about the $165.5 million of the, what do you call it? The initiative you guys just passed, right, for Los Banos, right? The budget. And so with the $165 million, it sounds like a lot of money, right? But at the same time, in the times we're living in, everything costs a whole lot more, right? So I'm just hope that you guys are listening to the, to the public here in Los Banos on what they need. A lot of us, obviously we need new roads, right? I'm glad you said that some of the roads and parkings were going to be done. But if you actually drive through a lot of these neighborhoods, it's really, I'm about to bring out my carriage and horses, to be honest with you, or my mule, right? Because some of those roads are that bad. But the thing is also, we also need things here for the community. I know we talked about a big park so we can go to and barbecue with our families or so on and so forth, but I hope that things start coming here so the families can actually have fun here, stay here, spend their money here instead of taking off and having to get out of this town to go do something, right? Another thing I wanted to talk about is it true that you guys voted on an increase in pay for the city council a couple weeks ago? Is that true? Is it true? Is it 400%? Increase, or how? Because the thing is that what I kind of trip out on is, did you guys vote on your guys' own increases? Okay, well, where's the checks and balances in that situation, right? I wish I worked at a job where I could make up my own percentage of how much I got, right? As the public, I'm going to tell you right now, I worked for the union, and in a 3-year contract, the most we ever got was 5%, right? So the way I kind of look at it right now is until we start seeing more things being done by city council, I don't think you guys deserve that. I'm going to be honest with you guys. Because the thing is, what you guys need to understand is you guys are giving yourself, I don't know if you guys haven't had, a raise in years, but 400% sounds pretty ridiculous to me. That sounds like corruption to me. I'm just being honest. Another thing, I want to talk about the developers here. The reason why the building inspector does not go out there, because they're going to find issues with every single house out there, right? So the thing is my wife works for fair housing, And I told her, does the building inspector, are they supposed to go out to these developments and slumlords places? And she says, yes. But for some reason, these city inspectors, I don't know if they get contributions to not do these things, to not have the checks and balances. Every development here goes into a civil lawsuit. I'm gonna tell you right now, there's more than $2,000 in my house worth of damages. Every wall is crooked, plumbing issues. There's people selling their houses
Mr.
because their houses.
Flores, we're working out kinks, but while you couldn't see the timer up there, the timer was on and your time has expired.
Okay, well, I just want to say that because
Thank you so
there needs to be
much.
checks and balances inside the developers.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else? Please come forward. Please state your name again for the record, Kathy.
Short Kathy's back. Kathy Ballard. I wanted to know, I know on the consent agenda, you usually open it up to speak. I didn't know if you wanted me to do it now or on item G, will it be opened up at that time?
It will be, but you're welcome to do it. You can speak now if you want to. Whatever you want to do.
Okay, I can speak now if you want.
You want to come back on G, that's fine too.
Okay, on G, in regards to, I had voiced this opinion and out, but I have to get it on record so that it's there, so if I want to complain about it later, I can say I brought it up. I don't mind the increase in regards to you guys getting paid, because it does cost a lot for you guys to go to all these functions, meetings, everything that we ask you to do to keep our faces of the city out there. The thing that I'm concerned in regards to is a benefit package, because in my opinion, you're not an employee, you are an elected official that is doing a job for the city, but you're not actually a city employee to get retirements, medical, dental, and all the other package for an employee who is working 40 hours a week. So that's my opinion. I know you guys are going to vote on it tonight, but I had to get it in before you voted. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. Anyone else, please come forward.
Anna McCauley, a resident in District 2. I wasn't going to speak to it, but there were a couple of things that brought up. I do agree, if you are an elected official, why do you get a benefits package? Chances are you've got a retirement or you're working for another company or something during the day that gives you those benefits. So why would you need a pile-on that the city ends up paying for as residents? Thank you.
Thank you, Ann. Anyone else? Anyone? Okay, is there anybody online, any other letters? Lucy, did you see?
See anybody on Zoom, and I don't have any letters.
Okay, we appreciate that. Appreciate everybody that spoke. And we will now move on. So before us now is our consent agenda and consideration of the approval of the consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda are considered to be routine and will be voted on in one motion unless removed from the consent agenda by a city council member. And Lucy, if you could bring us up to date on the consent agenda.
Items on the consent agenda are as follows. Warrant numbers 258434 through 258686 in the amount of $2,965,454.47. City Council meeting minutes for June 17th, 2026. City Council Resolution Number 7118, approving the acceptance of a $50,630 grant awarded by the California Department of Alcoholic Beverage Control related to the enforcement of alcohol-related crimes in amending the fiscal year $50,630. City Council Resolution Number 7119, approving a roadway maintenance agreement within Merced County right-of-way at the intersection of Pioneer Road and Ortigalita Road contract number 300-1422, and authorizing the city manager to execute the agreement. City Council Resolution Number 7120, approving Amendment Number 1 to the Professional Services Agreement with Mark Thomas Company, Inc. for engineering design services for the State Route 165 and Vineyard Drive intersection project, and authorizing the city manager to execute the amendment and approving a $30,000 budget amendment increase. City Council Resolution Number 7121, accepting a grant deed for a 390 plus or minus square feet public pedestrian easement located at 709 and 717 Nevada Avenue, and authorizing the city manager to execute all required documents for this dedication acceptance. Ordinance number 1215, amending sections 2-1.302 and 2-1.303 of Title II, Chapter 1, Article 3 of the Los Banos Municipal Code to increase electeds' compensation up to $1,275 per month for city council members and $1,500 for the mayor. And this is a second reading and adoption. And City Council Resolution Number 7122, amending the fiscal year 2026-27 budget for elected officials' salaries and benefits in the amount of $43,876. And the items are to be approved as submitted.
Okay, thank you, Lucy. And with that, is there any comments from any of the council? Or if I could have a motion, please. Okay, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda as read.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Lewis, second by Chavez, to approve the consent agenda as read into record. Any further questions or comments? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we have one abstention by Yamas. Okay, thank you very much.
Mayor? May I
You mean
ask
just-
a question? I think if you abstain, you have to give a reason.
You do, and I suspect it's because you voted no on the agenda item G. So in the future, we can pull that item and vote on it separately so that you have the opportunity.
Enough on the button.
I saw that, yeah, working out the kinks, but
Yeah,
that is why. He
So it's-
wanted to be able to vote no on item G.
so just a no then, it would be a no.
You
Right.
can just vote no on all of it, but in the future, let's pull it.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no problem.
Very slow on it, and you didn't catch it, so I just abstained. That's
Yeah, there's new buttons up here, so. Okay, so you have that, Lucy? Okay. great. Okay, thank you, everyone. Now we're going to our regular agenda. And everyone, let's see, the first item is item 11, consideration and adoption of City Council Resolution 7123, authorizing amendment number 1 to the professional services agreement with Fur and Piers for additional transportation master plan services and authorizing a related budget adjustment. And with this, we'll go back to our Community and Economic Development Director, Souza Elms.
Thank you again.
Got you there.
Yay, okay. Good. Yep, definitely some new buttons to get used to.
Yeah.
All right, so this item before you is, there we go, awesome. Thank you, Joe. Our Transportation Master Plan Amendment. The purpose of this amendment is to evaluate alternatives to State Route 152 bypass, and this is for the removal of the bypass from the general plan and our transportation master plan. This amendment will analyze up to 6 roadway improvement packages and identify opportunities to reduce congestion and improve traffic circulation. So this is a map of some proposed roadway segments, and these are additional segments that will be analyzed, and the purpose of the amendment. So with the removal of State Route 152 bypass, which sweeps up north around town, we're going to be creating local streets to take really the place of the bypass. And so you can see with the colors on the map, and I have the next slide, which identifies where those improvements are located. But it really does take the place of the bypass. And what we're doing is, since the bypass will not be able to be funded by the state of California and therefore is too expensive for the city of Los Banos or our region to be able to fund by ourselves, it really doesn't make the bypass feasible. So we need to analyze what we can do locally to help alleviate that traffic off of 152 without a state route bypass. So what we're looking at, and you can see, is out as far west as Volta, creating a arterial road that would take you up around town and down south around down to Pioneer, which would connect to our Pioneer Complete streets. But north of 152 would take you up north and then east over towards Badger Flat Road. The yellow line that you see would be a new road that runs along the creek and runs on the north side of 152, takes you to Badger Flat. And then the light blue cyan color is a connection at Overland. And also up at Santa Lucia, and takes you up around town, and then connects back down with Ward Place Road specifically, but then also there's it's not quite a royal blue, but an in-between blue out at North Point on the east end of town, right underneath the word says Vineyard Extension, that then also connects to Ward Road, and that Vineyard Extension is at 165, and I'm sorry, I wasn't explaining that right. That cyan light blue color is 165. Yeah. There we go. Here we go. So this is what I'm talking about, is this line here is 165, and this here is the extension of Vineyard. And you can see here that there's Vineyard. This would be Vineyard. It would take you east and west, and then connect down to Ward Road. So we're really creating a loop system around the city to be able to get traffic efficiently east and west throughout the city, but also creating and identifying north and south corridors. I hope we're still good on Zoom. I think we are. Next slide. All right. So these roadways alternatives, like I explained, Volta Road improvements are here that would take you north and south of 152. The Vineyard Extension, that's here. And this is Vineyard that takes you east and west. There are some roundabouts that are identified on 165, and that's here. Those are already identified roundabouts. Well, Caltrans has the roundabout at Volta and 152 that they will be installing. They're also going to be installing a roundabout at 165 in Wilmot. The city is working on design of a roundabout at Vineyard and 165. And the intersection widening and signalization is also identified, and those in these pin marks that identify where those signal intersections will be located as identified in the Transportation Master Plan. And then we have the Pioneer corridor here, but we also have the Pacheco corridor improvements here. As some of you may recall, we do have a Pacheco complete streets plan, and those corridor improvements would align with that complete streets plan. So the scope of work for the Transportation Master Plan, it includes identifying travel model analysis of roadway segments. So it's going to look at those segments and model how they work. It's going to look at truck movement evaluation at those intersections. Do the intersections need to be widened to be able to take truck turning movements? Are we going to identify, which we will identify truck routes, and that is going to be important in us identifying truck movement. And then traffic diversion assessment, we're going to look at, through traffic modeling, where traffic is being diverted and how that's affecting adjacent streets. And then the planning level cost estimates for up to 4 segments. So that's a part of the amendment, and that's necessary for us to include those cost estimates into our traffic impact fee, which is the TIF, so that new development, as new development is creating this impact, more cars, more residents, more business, that they are paying their fair share. So the fiscal impact of this amendment is almost $54,000, and it will be funded by the traffic impact fee. The traffic impact fee is funding the current transportation master plan. So this is just an amendment to that. So staff is recommending that the City Council would consider adopting resolution number 7123 to add the roadway alternative analysis that staff is recommending. And this would increase the contract by $53,914 for a new contract total of $308,529. And that concludes my report. And I'd be happy to answer any questions, but I know I'm working very closely on this project with our Public Works Director. And I know William will help as well, and our city manager as well.
Okay, at this time, before we turn it over to the City Council, anyone from the public that would like to speak on the consideration of the professional service agreements for the related master plan services, please come forward. Welcome.
And I'm a Collie in District 2. As I read this, different people, wherever, depending on where you live, I can see where you can take alternative routes to get out of town and so on, and that's all good. But my question is, the big rigs, do they still pretty much remain on 152? And then also, the roundabouts. We have a motorhome, and we tow a car, and we've been on roundabouts all over the country. So they're becoming a way of life, and it's fine. I'm just concerned, are the roundabouts on Mercy Springs, are they going to be highway regulation type widths? Because, otherwise we're going to have big rigs and other vehicles tearing up their own rigs, their own vehicles, just trying to get around. So is it one lane and then a significant width on both sides for clearance? And then also, and if that's the case, roundabouts won't be an issue. I know it's going to be kind of strange when you're going to be on 152 and all of a sudden you got to slow down for Volta because you got a roundabout. But I think it's manageable if it's designed and signaled right. And then also, I'm not clear, and this may not be the place to do it, but we live closest to Pioneer, and I'm curious where the 4 lanes are, because I understand it's not 4 lanes all the way through. So that's confusing. But if we have big rigs on 152, we still got an issue on 152. It's just too bad that we never had a truck bypass, because that would have been the route to go. Not everybody had to bypass town, just the big rigs, because they have no reason to stop in town. They can't go to a fast food or anything else. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Kathy Ballard. I don't see anywhere in the plan that we are, you say, Stacy, you say you're talking to William. Is Caltrans involved in this? So when we do any kind of planning that involves 152, 165, I don't want them coming back later and saying, oh, well, you screwed up and you got to do this. So I just want to make sure that we're in conversations with Caltrans to make sure we don't plan something that we can't utilize. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak? Anyone on Zoom? Anybody have their hands raised on Zoom? No? No? Okay. So a couple of those, I agree with the big rigs. It seems to be the problem, 152. I know we have talked about alternatives to 152 for big rigs. Very, very early discussion, trying to get them up to Henry Miller or something like that. But it's very early discussion, but we do realize down the road, if we could take those vehicles off, 152 would ease a lot of our problems. I do agree with that. The roundabouts will be, the ones on 165 and the future ones that city build will be at a standard to be able to take big traffic. They're building a concrete apron now that allows trucks, even if they cheat a little bit, they stay on paved or concrete roads. So I'm pretty confident with that. The new world of Caltrans is everything is now a roundabout. They don't want to build another light. So, and they're really strong on that right now. The Pioneer 4 lanes, I'm going to send that over to you to talk about where the first 4 lanes are on Pioneer. And
Yeah, Mayor, the original analysis for us, the 4 lanes are going to be at each intersection, so critical intersections like at 152 and Pioneer itself, or Tigalita at Center, as well as at Pioneer and 165. There's also a portions of Pioneer Road, the segment itself from the existing development right now, roughly around Gus Valatar area, all the way to 165. Those are the 4-lane sections.
yeah, so we do realize that the whole thing should be 4 lanes with turning lanes. But it's all about money. So we're doing it in phases, and we hopefully will get it done before it's projected to get done. And then the Caltrans connection, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, Mayor, I apologize, forgot to mention one thing. And to some of the public comment we hear today, Pioneer is a primary example of this. We are working with Caltrans through Caltrans process. That's why it is taking a lot longer as it is. So when we are looking at segment lane, although economic factors like cost is taken into consideration, but Caltrans specifically for the environmental mitigation and stuff are limiting our ability to go 4-lane on certain sections unless the traffic forecast is met. Currently, we are working with Caltrans, and in normal Caltrans fashions, they are wanting us to forecast to 2065.
Yeah, 2065. So what, to round off what Neron just said, is even though Pioneer is not a state highway, but since it touches 165, then Caltrans is now involved. And they're throwing all the rules and regulations at us. And, but yes, all this other stuff, we are probably right now in better contact with Caltrans than the city has ever been in the last many, many, many years. We do appreciate everybody's comments at the public forum. Now I'll turn it to the city council if you have any questions or comments to William or Stacy. Okay, I'm not seeing anyone interested in making any comments, so then I'll go ahead and accept a motion and a second. Okay, Marcus?
Yeah, Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve Resolution 7123 as read by title.
Second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Chavez, second by Lewis, as stated. Any further questions or comments by City Council? Okay, not hearing any. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you. Now, I guess I checked with Zoom, so we'll go to, I like this, brief city department comments. It's on my thing. I like that. So we'll go back to Stacy, Community Economic Development, and she'll tell us her brief comments.
Yes. So there will be no planning commission on July 8th, 2026, but we will resume our meetings on July 22nd, 2026, here in the council chambers on Zoom.
That
Okay,
concludes
thank you
my
very much. Finance. Oh, no Minnie. Where did Minnie go?
Minnie is at a conference for GFOA in Chicago.
Did she leave signed checks? Okay, just kidding, just kidding. Okay, so Minnie's learning more about our city finance. She does a great job, so we'll go with Parks and Recreation. Joe.
Yeah, I just wanted to provide a reminder for a couple events this month. First being America's 250th birthday on 4th of July. The Downtown Association is holding that event at Henry Miller Plaza. I believe it starts at 6 p.m. Fireworks usually closer to 9, but it's a fun night that I always try to make myself. And it's a big crowd. They have a car show planned and everything. So, and then on July 18th, we have our ribbon cutting grand opening for our pickleball courts at the Ag Sports Complex. That's 700 North Mercy Springs Road, and that'll begin at 9 a.m. And then the courts will be open after that. So if you're maybe shopping this weekend, maybe buy a paddle. So, thank you.
Good idea. Thank you, Joe. And we'll go to Human Resources. Isabel.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. As part of the city's efforts to recognize and appreciate our entire city team for their hard work and dedication, we held an employee recognition luncheon on June 24th. The luncheon and recognition were appreciated and well received by the city team. These efforts create a healthier, inspired, and more unified city team. They contribute to employee retention, and ultimately they contribute to innovative and quality services for our community. I want to give a special thank you to the Kudos crew for putting the event together. It was a success. That's my brief report for tonight, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Public Works. William. Anything to report, William?
Quickly, just Happy New Year to everybody. Today's the first day of the
Happy New
fiscal year. Since Minnie's not here to say that, I figured I'd say that. Thank you, Mayor and council members, for approving the budget. We've got a lot to do. And I just want to say for some of my staff who may be watching tonight, thank you to all of my staff. We've been really pushing lately to try to get ready for this new year. We got a lot of work to do, so everybody's coming together and getting ready to get a lot of things done. So thank you. That concludes my report.
William, we appreciate our city treasurer, Lucy Lawrence, being here this evening. Thank you, Lucy. We'll go on to our fire department.
Thank you, Mayor
Brandon?
and Council. Yeah, just a couple things to report. First of all, I'd like to say thank you for passing the budget. One of the things that were passed this year, what's that?
It's on.
Yeah, it's on.
Yeah.
It's not this part, it's not right here, but yes, I'd like to say thank you for passing the budget. And some of those the things that were passed this year were additional staffing. Anyway, we had one of our new recruits start today, and one will start on Friday, and then 3 more next month. So that's good for us, and the crews are happy, and the morale is up. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And for police, Chief Ray.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, once again, and members of the council. Congratulations to Officers Rowland, Officer Rodriguez, and Officer Northey for graduating from the Fresno Police Academy. Congratulations to Officer Arturo Solis for completing the motorcycle officer training last month. And once again, just a reminder, we will have extra staff out during the 4th of July holiday. And just a reminder to the public that if you are using illegal fireworks and we catch you, you're going to get a ticket, and it's not fun. So safe and sane, do things the right way, have a good time so that everyone can enjoy the holiday season. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Go to our city attorney, Mary Lerner. Mary?
Thank you. With respect to the ballot measure related to the city treasurer, I submitted the impartial analysis to the county elections office. So to date, all required documents related to this measure have been submitted. That's it.
Great. Thank you, Mary. And our city manager, Niran Than.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. Again, I just want to thank our staff for making this almost an impossible task to do in a very short period of time to get SB 707 in compliant, to get this chambers ready for tonight meeting. I know we were down to the wires. Literally, we were still fixing things up to about 5:59 p.m. this afternoon. As you can see, we're not perfect, but if you are on Zoom, you could hear us, you could participate. We can do presentations now, so they give a lot of opportunities. So I want to thank our staff, as well as our teams at Mid-Valley IT and E1, who are all back there, 3 or 4 of them, in one cramped room with very tiny little vent to try to making sure that this meeting is continually broadcasting and are working as intended. The next item is for July 4th. Chief talked about safe and sane fireworks. I also want to remind our community about 4th of July and impacts on pets. Fireworks, even though safe and sane, some of them, especially the illegal firework, can be very scary for pets. So just please make sure you secure your fences, check your gates, make sure that your pets has ID tags. Those things can save lives, and they are microchips. And please plan ahead if your pets need any anxiety. July 4th and all those events is one of the highest numbers of pets recoveries and injury that we recover in the city. So just a friendly reminder there, our animal control and animal services has posted warnings and tips out on our Facebook. So hopefully people are seeing that and are taking that into actions. Lastly, on behalf of the county, I just want to reiterate, today is the first day they are bringing county clerk services to our city. That's including certified copy of birth certificates and a bunch of other. We have shared those documents on our social media, and the county has done a great job of posting a video to inform the public as well that those services is now coming to the west side and is at the fairground. Currently, they are piloting those for the first Wednesday of each month. And that concludes my report, Mayor.
Great, thank you very much. We'll turn to District 2, Refugio Llamas.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Not much to report, just again, we're looking into the Independence Day on July 4th. And again, it just happened to fall on the 4th. It could have been the 3rd, the 5th, but it is Independence Day. It's a significant event in our republic's history. It's really relatively short in contrast to other world governments and civilizations. And it was brought about by the government, namely King George, who was not being responsive to the colonists' needs, and trying to raise taxes in order to pay for a depleted treasury because of the wars. Such certain things like the firing on the British colonists during the Boston Massacre, the Intolerable Acts in 1774, I think, where a lot of taxes were raised against the citizens. And also the retaliation of individuals speaking up against policies that they didn't agree with. So again, a lot of sacrifices, a lot of hard decisions were made because again, once you decided to take up arms against the king, then you were branded a traitor and subject to execution or hanging on sight. So again, a lot of history here, a lot of things that we're marking. And hopefully folks remember that on Independence Day. Thank you very much.
Thank you. District 3, Marcus Chavez.
Yeah, I noticed we got the same thing too. Brief city council member reports. Love the humor. It's great. Now I just wanted to say, well, first and foremost, I hope everyone had a great Father's Day. It's like number 18 on the holiday list. Anyways, happy 4th of July to everyone coming up. Be safe, be sane. I don't see Blanche here, but we're all advocating for the pets. Understand the pets are, very scared and the loud sounds, but also be compassionate for your neighbors. Let's not keep it up late at night with a big boom. Some people got to go to work, so please remember that. And we're not trying to keep our fire department running everywhere, trying to put out fires, so please be careful with what you're doing. Thanks to everybody that's involved to get this new system going. New system is great. Seems to be working pretty good. I actually expected a few more glitches, but Neuron, you got it done, and staff. So thank you very much. And the guys that are in the back, I know you guys see me. You guys are cramped back there, but thank you very much. And whoever decorated the chambers, I love it. It looks beautiful. It's great. And I think U.S. Soccer won tonight, so go team. So anyways, that's it for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem, District 4, Deborah Lewis.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, I think Mayor Chavez. Okay. Here I go. You just lost your job, Mayor.
Okay, you want to change seats here? We just had a campaign here.
Anyway, his report was covered a lot of things that I wanted to say. And I wish everybody a happy and safe 4th of July. And yes, be very cognizant of your animals. I have little thunder sweaters that I put on my dog to help them feel safe during that time and keep them close to you. It's a tough time for them, as well as, you know, a lot of families with their children. You know, those big booms are quite scary. I'm hearing them already, the rockets that are being shot off at nighttime, and it's uncomfortable to hear that. I wish people would not participate in buying illegal fireworks. They do, but the fine is going to be horrendous if you get caught. So rethink what you're doing. I will have a report from the Air Board. I forgot my paperwork at home tonight. We did pass our budget, $300 million plus for the next fiscal year coming up. And there are some legislative changes in acreage that is within city limits from 200 to 100 as to how you control dust. So I will report out on that at our next meeting. And that's it. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much. And first of all, I want to start off by saying thank you to Neron and staff. This place does look really nice. The bunting looks great, and the banner downtown is wonderful too. Glad we're all working towards a great July 4th for 250 years. As Neron said, I want to thank Supervisor Silvera and the county supervisors and Mark Hendrickson, the CEO of the county, for today was the first day, like he said, for the Fairgrounds office to be able to do recorders work at the fairgrounds, and hopefully it went good. It's just a start. I think more people use it, then you're going to see county offering more services. So I was glad to see that. We had MCAG last week. Of course, it's budget time for our city. It's budget time for all the different entities I'm a board member to, and we passed our budget at MCAG, and our hydrogen trailer came in. So now the hydrogen bus isn't here yet, but hydrogen bus is going to go up to Yosemite and back, because with the climbing of the mountains to get to Yosemite Valley, electric bus can't do that. So they're purchasing a hydrogen bus. So more to come on that. Peninsula Clean Energy, on your bill for the July 17th, it is now called Westlight Energy. So you'll see Westlight Energy on your power bill coming to your home, and that is the new name for Peninsula Clean Energy. Also passed a 4-hour, I think it was almost 4 hours, that meeting to pass that budget. Oh my gosh. And I came out of the city council chambers, there was no one here left. Even the maintenance went home on me. But anyway, that was quite a long session, but very good. They passed their budget. Westlight Energy is going to come into place, so you'll see that more. You know, when they first started, they're pretty much located in the cities around the peninsula, so that's why it was called, made sense. But now they're branching out, and now it's called Westlight Energy. Had the honor of giving out a proclamation to Catherine Silvera Marks this last weekend, 100 years old. It's the mother-in-law of Mike McAdam, who was a council member, mayor pro tem up here for 12 years. It was great to see their family. It was an honor to give that proclamation to 100 years of life. And I tell you, I hope I'm half as spry as she is when I get to 80, you know, because she's in very good shape, and it was great to be there. And this council chambers, you know, like in '95, we updated it to the 20th century. And then I know we had another little update towards the end, to the early 2000s. Then after I left, there was another little update. But now we are definitely in 21st century here with this system. And it's better audio, better video, everything. So it really comes into transparency and accountability for your city council. And you can sit at home and watch us and be involved on Zoom now. So that's really important, getting involved. And let's see, the last thing I want to talk about is I think we've talked a lot, we put the ballot measure on for city treasurer to be appointed. But even if that passes or doesn't pass, I really think that we should put together, staff should put together a job sort of description of our city treasurer, so we know what's expected of her, and she knows what's expected also. And I do see the city treasurer, it's changed so much, 30 years, 40 years ago, the city treasurer is balancing the checkbook every month, to now, I really see the city treasurer as an oversight person that is now the liaison from the public to the city, another liaison like another council member. So I'd like to see that be modified a little bit. I'm not sure what it says now, but I think in the future we need to be able to show exactly what's going on in that position, because he or she is an elected official and should be the liaison for any types of money issues with the city. So I'd like to see that brought up in the future. And with that, I think that's all I have. I know we are going to be going into closed session this evening. And in closed session, it's conference with legal counsel, existing litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9D1. Name of the case is City of Indio versus Eric Oppenheimer, Fresno Superior Court Case 24CECG 04779. And the second item is conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, initiation of litigation pursuant to paragraph 4 of subdivision D of section 54956.9 of the Government Code, deciding whether to initiate litigation. There's 4 cases before the City Council in closed session. And at this time, I'd like to open it up to anyone on Zoom or in the public that might want to speak on any of those two items before we go into closed session. If any decision is made in closed session, we'll be coming out here and do a public statement or vote. Anyone like to speak on that? Anyone on Zoom? No, no one's on Zoom? Okay, we'll be on closed sessions, and so this meeting will be put on hold till we come back. Thank you again, everyone that spoke in public forums and on the agenda items, and we'll be back in a little bit. Thank you. Okay, we're back from closed session. We had 2 items with legal counsel, both litigation, and no decision was made in closed session. And so this meeting is adjourned at 9:06 p.m. Thank you.